Happening now, it's primary day here in New York. We have team coverage as voters hit the polls for not just the GOP primary, but also a special election. And an update on the drive-by shooting in Jamestown that killed one man and injured another, the latest arrest in this case. Plus, a Frewsburg native has been called up to the big leagues, officially joining the New York Mets.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
Thank you for joining me for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Those stories and more are coming up, but first today, voters are at the polls for the New York primary elections. Here in the southern tier in western New York, there are two unique elections on the ballot for some. Our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp is breaking down who you'll see on the ballot if you plan to vote today.
Some voters will look at two congressional elections, the first a special election and the second a Republican primary.
Well, both races are important because this is a sitting member of the House of Representatives and they certainly have work to do. And of course, one of the big parts of what the House does during the fall part of the term is they usually consider the budget. That's the money. And certainly you want somebody there who can bring things home for the district, or at least make sure it's not going somewhere else instead of the 23rd.
After Republican Representative Tom Reed resigned from his House seat a few months ago for a job in the private sector, voters will choose either Joseph Sempolinski, who is running on the Conservative and Republican ballot, or Max Della Pia on the Democratic and Working Families ballot to fill that seat for the next few months. And for Republicans, they'll have another congressional race. Nick Langworthy and Carl Palladino are going head-to-head to secure the Republican nomination for November's elections. Political analysts we spoke with say it's tough to tell who will come out on top for this Republican primary election because they haven't seen any real reliable polling for this race.
It really is going to come down to, in a special election and in a primary election in the middle of August, who can really turn out their voters in the heat of summer and convince them that now is the time to go vote, even though they're not used to voting at that time.
The winner of that Republican primary will face Democrat Max Della Pia in November for that 2-year congressional House seat. According to some political scientists, some polls are showing for this November's election a 12-point lead for the Republicans, meaning that they predict that the Republicans will hold on to the seat in November. At the Capitol, Rachel Knapp reporting.
Rachel, thank you. During early voting, which kicked off about a week ago, over 1,600 voters took to the polls here in Chautauqua County as part of the special election. Meanwhile, over 580 participated in the primary. I spoke to Chautauqua County election commissioners Brian Abram and Luz Torres earlier today about the vote, which is taking place right now, and some of the big questions that have been coming up. Joining me now on the broadcast are the Chautauqua County Election Commissioners, Brian Abram and Luz Torres, to talk more about today's primary and special election vote. Brian and Luz, thank you both for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us.
Oh, thank you for having us.
First, I know a major aspect of today seems to be the fact that we do have two separate elections which are taking place at the same time. Could you please refresh our viewers a little bit on this process and why some are receiving two ballots today?
Well, everybody's available to vote. All 80,000 registered voters here in Chautauqua County will get one ballot. But if you are a registered Republican, you will be issued two ballots. The reason being is there's two separate elections going on the same day. One is a special election to fill the term for the 23rd Congressional District, and the other is a primary, which we know in New York State they're closed. Primary elections only can be carried out by the party themselves and the people who are registered in that party. And the Republicans are holding one today to choose between two candidates to see who will be on the ballot in November on the Republican line.
Now, I know we were talking earlier before the broadcast this morning that there has been a little bit of confusion from folks. How has that been relating? I know even some of your poll workers are trying to get used to this aspect of having two of these elections at the same time.
Well, over the course of all the time we've been voting, everybody is one man, one vote kind of situation, and that's been drummed into our heads forever. So to completely change the dynamic and have a certain segment getting two and another group not, it brings confusion. As long as everybody understands that's the way it is set up and that's the mission that we've been given to carry out. So we trying to educate everybody walking in the door that it is the Republicans who are making two different choices, and the rest of the voters get only one choice. Again, putting a primary together brings out the fact that only one segment is going to get those types of ballots. So as people look at other people getting two, it's nothing to be concerned about. Or if you walk in, you're confused why you are getting two, it's because there is two elections going on the same day for everybody, or for the Republicans, I should say. So again, we're just trying to make sure that everybody understands that's the task at hand, and we will be carrying it out, and the poll workers are getting used to it also. Like you mentioned earlier, poll workers have been handing out one ballot, one person forever, and now we're trying to incorporate a whole new way of allowing people to vote.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other elements of this too, I think, the fact that we're at the end of summer now, August, a hard time for some people. I know you've mentioned you've had issues trying to get people to staff the polling sites. We see they're open today, they're functioning. People may be taking vacation, getting ready for back to school. Do you think those elements, Brian and Luce, are going to play into voter turnout today?
Absolutely. A lot of, like Brian was saying, a lot of people don't know about some people do. I mean, we sent out notices, but it's a little confusing on who they're voting for.
Absolutely. And of course, if they do have questions, best place to do that for our viewers. And imagine if you call the Board of Elections, you'll get somebody who can answer your questions.
We're fully staffed here at the Board of Elections. It's area code 716-753-4580. We have individuals, and ourselves included, that are answering the phone and answering questions. We will look you up, tell you what your party affiliation is, tell you where you vote, obviously help you along in the process of any questions you have. We also have sample ballots on our website, votechautauqua.com. So if you would like to look at them yourself to kind of see exactly what you would be voting for, they're available. And if you have any sort of other questions about your own personal status, votechautauqua.com is a great resource. But again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the board. We're staffed here today. We got people in the field. We have hundreds of election workers waiting to greet you and make sure that you're comfortable with the process.
All right. Again, Brian and Luce, thank you very much for joining me. Polls are open across the state until 9 o'clock tonight. Be sure to stick with us for more election coverage. Well, now let's switch gears and get a first check of our weather forecast. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter live in studio with that. Hello, Dakota.
Hello, Justin, and happy Tuesday to all of you. The rain has ended now. You can see from the Warren Skycam, and wanted to show you something really cool very quickly. See this little ring right here over the Niagara Peninsula? That's called a roosting ring. We threw this out on social media. Birds were taking flight off the Niagara Peninsula this morning. The pollens are good. So the pollens are good. All that recent rain washed the pollens away. 73, 61, 93 and 38 are the records. So through the afternoon today, any of those lingering showers ends, becomes partly sunny, still a bit muggy, 70 to 77 with a north to northwest wind 5 to 10. But I've got more on the way. We'll talk about it with the Ultimate Satellite Solution 7-day later in the show, Justin.
All right, Dakota, we'll see you back in just a bit. Next, we have the latest on the arrest of two men accused of a drive-by shooting that claimed a life here in Jamestown. Plus, what locals in our government have to say about this act of violence and how they want to try to help police step up security.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Hey ladies, are you looking for a fun night out on the town this fall? We have the event for you. Join Collaborative Children's Solutions as we celebrate the women of our community during a special Ladies Red Carpet Gala. Grab your friends and fanciest clothes for a night of dancing at the Northwest Arena in Jamestown, New York. There will be dessert and a cash bar. All proceeds directly benefit Collaborative Children's Solutions. Learn more at ccsolutions716.com.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
When severe weather breaks, one team has you covered, tracking the storms as they happen. Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
Looking for a fair and honest auto mechanic? Look no further than DeWyas Auto Service. Located at 140 Main Street in Randolph, our family-owned business is ready for all of your automotive needs. From general service to more complex repairs, count on DeWyas Auto to keep you on the road. We not only keep your cars running smoothly, but also looking great with our expert detailing crew. Send us a message on Facebook or call us today at 716-358-2292 to set up an appointment. DeWyas Auto Service. Fair, honest, and the best prices guaranteed.
Two convenient conservatives are on the ballot for the Republican primary for Congress. Neither live in our district. I'm Rich Moon, vying for your vote in New York's 23rd congressional race. Growing up in Erie County, I lived in Hinsdale while working as a pharmacist in Wellsville. I'm proud to have raised my kids in the Jamestown area. Keep your voice in Washington local. Write in Rich Moon when you vote for both the GOP primary and the special election. Write in Rich Moon for Congress.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
2 men have been arrested in connection with a fatal drive-by shooting here in Jamestown last Friday. Investigators with the Jamestown Police Department announced last night that 32-year-old Joseph Fontez Walker and 22-year-old Kevin Ronald Plant Odas were taken into custody. Police were called to the area of 850 Prendergast Avenue just before 1 o'clock Friday for reports of shots fired. As a result of this alleged attack, 35-year-old Jesus Bartez Perez was killed. Another male victim was hurt. Now, we heard from Jamestown Police Chief Tim Jackson, who announced the arrest during last night's City Council meeting.
We have not worked out the final charges yet. We're working with the district attorney right now in connection with the homicide on Friday. The detectives worked all weekend long, non-stop on it, followed up on every lead, and it paid off. So they did an awesome job.
Now, over the weekend, police were looking for a black 4-door Toyota sedan, which officers said had been involved in the shooting, and that vehicle has now been located. Well, quelling the rise of violent crime in Jamestown might be not as easy as hiring additional police officers. In fact, according to one local lawmaker, the pool of qualified candidates is at an all-time low. Our Bronson Rasmussen joins us live in the newsroom with more on this story today. Bronson?
Justin, last night several members of the public brought their concerns forward during Jamestown City Council's Public Safety Committee meeting. This followed by a drive-by shooting that left one man dead and another injured last week.
More guns are on the street now than I saw in my career.
I'm sure.
There is a plethora of weapons that these officers that are getting off the street. Now imagine the number of weapons that they're missing.
Solutions brought to the table include an enhanced police presence through more patrols or officers walking the beat. One resident even proposed deploying a mobile police unit. However, Councilman Russell says the department must address retention issues first.
There's officers coming here, and they might stay 4, 5, 6 months. They get trained, and then they get called by where they came from, Cat County, Erie County. They're being called by other departments where they're originally from, and they're leaving. They're leaving here, and they're going back to where they're from. So now we have a civil service list that's currently exhausted, okay, and we still have more hiring to do, and we have no list to go off of.
He says the villainization of police in recent years makes people not want to join the ranks, and that New York's bail reform continues to impede police work.
It's the victims of these crimes that are suffering from this. They're being victimized, and then suspects are immediately being let out within hours. And it's a slap in the face to the people in our communities.
The councilman went on to say the city does not have a police problem, but instead a people problem, where witnesses refuse to speak out.
People won't step forward.
Right.
Literally, you will have a witness to a homicide standing next to a victim when they're shot.
Mm-hmm.
And the person will not step forward and say, hey, so-and-so shot him. I saw it happen.
Yeah.
To me, that's pathetic.
And I think
that's despite what the victim's background is, they still deserve justice.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone deserves to have justice.
In the end, the councilman believes that no amount of money can solve the issues at hand.
This has to be a collaborative effort. And just throwing money at something is not going to fix the problem.
Other options put forward by the community include more security cameras in public locations and more due diligence in City Hall, like allocating more funds to help officers already on the job. Now, Justin, a forum to address rising concerns and hear directly from the public has been set for Wednesday, September 14th. However, City Council President Tony Dulce has not yet released a specific time and location. More details are expected to be released within the next few weeks. Live in the newsroom, Bronson Rasmussen, WNY News Now.
All right, Bronson, thank you for the update there. A 52-year-old is facing child endangerment charges after police here in Jamestown allegedly recovered a loaded shotgun within the reach of that 3-year-old child. Officers with the Jamestown Police Department responded to an East Side address yesterday for a reported drug overdose. While on scene there and assisting the victim, police allegedly observed a shotgun in the living room. As officers checked the well-being of a child in that residence, they reportedly found an unsupervised 3-year-old in a room with another shotgun, which police said was loaded. Thomas Kimbrough Sr. was charged with endangering the welfare of a child and criminal possession of a weapon. Police said he was a convicted felon and could not legally possess that firearm. After arraignment, he was released. And a Frewsburg native has been called up to the big leagues with his contract purchased by the New York Mets yesterday. Connor Gray joined the Mets bullpen for their game at Yankee Stadium. The 28-year-old made 22 appearances so far this year at AAA Syracuse, riding 5-5 with a 5.52 earned run average. He then struck out 75 and walked 40 in 93 innings during his play. He was the 20th round draft pick in the Arizona Diamondbacks back in 2016. Now, he was released by Arizona following that 2019 season. He didn't play last year in the minor league baseball because of the pandemic. And the first confirmed youth case of monkeypox has been detected here in New York State. This says health officials are altering their vaccination plan in an attempt to get ahead of the outbreak. Our Julia Gress reports.
New York State has the most cases, and the vast majority of them, over 90%, are identified in New York City.
At the end of July, Governor Kathy Hochul declared a state of emergency due to the increasing rate of monkeypox.
Recently, the Federal Drug Administration has issued another emergency use authorization for a dose-sparing strategy, which means that we will be administering just 1/5 the dose of that was previously a single dose.
New York State Health Commissioner Dr. Mary Bassett hopes to complete the transition of vaccine administration by August 29th, as well as making case data publicly available. As of today, there are currently 2,800 cases statewide, with one reported transmission to a child. Though most cases are spread between men having sex, it is also possible to transmit the virus through close skin-to-skin contact.
That there are 3 parts of this current outbreak that have made it unusual and concerning. One is that we're seeing monkeypox transmitted outside of the areas where it had been endemic in Central and West Africa. 2, we're seeing its clinical presentation in ways that aren't classical. And 3rd, the transmission of monkeypox is occurring overwhelmingly among men who identify as gay, bisexual, or as men who have sex with men.
While monkeypox is rarely fatal, experts say it is extremely painful. Doctors say being honest about your health status and monitoring for symptoms is pivotal in keeping those around you safe. Those who think they might have the disease can only be tested after they have developed a rash-like symptom. Julia Gress, WNY News Now.
Julia, thank you. Meanwhile, kids here in New York, they're headed back to school in just a few short weeks, and the state now changing how it handles COVID-19 in the classroom. At a public health briefing yesterday, Governor Kathy Hochul announced students will no longer have to quarantine if they're exposed to a positive case or be required to test to stay if exposed within school. Districts will be able to choose to test for COVID over close contact activities. The governor says that the changes are being made in New York State and bring the state in alignment with the most recent CDC guidelines. And the National Comedy Center has been named a top 25 family weekend getaway by the U.S. News and World Report. The Comedy Center made the list alongside places like Disneyland, performing arts venues in New York City, a cruise in Alaska, and the Rocky Mountains. The National Comedy Center is one of the only 8 destinations in the Northeast on this family getaway list, and one of the 3 destinations here in New York State. Very cool. Coming up next, a lot more to tell you about, including some good news for those struggling to repay their student loan debt. And after that, a look at a popular maritime celebration returning to our Lake Erie coastline. But first, Dakota back with a full look at our weather.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Stay fire safe this summer. Only use grills outdoors, away from siding and deck railings. Clean grills often and remove grease or fat buildup. Make sure your gas grill lid is open before lighting. Have a 3-foot safe zone around grills and campfires. Keep kids and pets clear of the area. Dispose of coals after they cool in a metal can. Never leave grills, fire pits, and patio torches unattended. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov.
Brought to you by the Chautauqua Safety Village and the Jamestown Fire Department.
While I appreciate anyone who wants to run for office and help others, we deserve to be represented by a local candidate. I'm Rich Moon, running for New York's 23rd congressional seat. I grew up in Erie County, worked in Wellsville, raised my kids in Jamestown. We need to keep our voice in Washington local. There are 2 absentee opportunists on the ballot for the Republican primary. They don't actually live here. That's why I need your vote. Write in Rich Moon for Congress for both the GOP primary and special election. We deserve local representation.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense Weather.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Wanted to start off with this beautiful weather eye picture that our own Sean Sweatman sent in. You can see the beautiful color, and this has to do with the sun reflecting back through ice crystals into the sky and through the clouds. So if you have any pictures or videos of the weather, Hunters WX on Twitter, the First Defense Weather page on Facebook, and always use that hashtag MyLocalWX. Today is the anniversary of the East Coast earthquake of 2011. You might remember this. It was actually epicentered northwest of Richmond, Virginia, and it was a 5.8. It was felt by a third of the U.S. population, which is about 103 million people at the time of 2011. And all the blue dots on this map is where it was felt. This is the USGS's shake map, where you felt it. So that's basically what happened on this day in 2011. Some of you might remember that. But getting back to present time, yeah, we added a little bit more on the rainfall. 3.45 is where we are below normal for the season, and I don't think we're going to make that up here by the time we start keeping records for the fall season, which is next month. So 70 as of noon hour right now, lots of clouds at the airport, a north wind of 7, at least the visibility is up, so we don't have any fog to contend with. But the next thing really is going to be this humidity. It's going to stay in place through much of the week, but we are going to see some brief relief coming by the first half of the weekend. Just a few spotty showers right now, and these are all going to go to bed through the later afternoon hours. There's our low pressure, the flow around the low, now up in the upstate region, but notice the clearing, that's starting to come on in, and the future scan shows that to you. The clearing skies through the afternoon and through the evening hours, so we're going to call this evening mostly clear and starlit, but look at what develops. Patchy inland fog by tomorrow morning. Watch for that for the morning commute. Then by the time we go into the afternoon, I think a lot of sunshine will take us through the day. So 57 at 7, 77 at noon, 80 at 5 o'clock with sunshine through the afternoon. Now the next 7 days powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. So we're up in the the 80s, which is not too far from average, but look at the heat, Justin, returning by Sunday and Monday of next week. I hope you haven't put those air conditioners away.
Oh yeah, certainly not, because summer, it might be the end of August, and I know everybody's thinking about back to school, Dakota, but certainly summer not going anywhere anytime soon. Thank you very much. Well, coming up next here on the show, we're checking in with a tall ship movement in our region. A look at the maritime celebration taking center stage on Lake Erie this week.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
I'm in this race because I love our region, its people, and all we do. Hi, Rich Moon here. I'm not someone who has come late to this game using political muscle or a large bank account to manipulate the electorate. I'm running for New York's 23rd congressional seat to keep our priorities local. Growing up in Erie County, working in Wellsville, raising my kids in Jamestown, this is my home. When voting this month, write down Rich Moon for Congress to ensure local representation for both the GOP primary and the special election.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights.
Vests.
please give us some room.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over. When you need help,
It's our job
To help you.
to save you.
despite the danger.
This danger.
This danger is real.
Do your part.
Please
Slow down. Slow down. And move over.
move over.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Well, Erie's Tall Ship Festival will be making its return to the Bayfront in just a few days. It'll kick off with the Parade of Sail. When those ships sail into Presque Isle Bay, there will be some members of our news team aboard. Sarah Tonks and Thomas Kowalski with our news partner Erie News Now are sailing on the lake right now, one of the tall ships, Brig Niagara, making its way to our region.
Sarah Tonks and Tom Kowalski here. We have finished night number 1 on the Brig Niagara.
So far, we are still docked.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Yeah, I mean, we'll be actually setting sail today, so I'm told, all the way from here in Put-in Bay back home to Erie, where I'm looking very forward to sleeping in a full-size bed again. But for now, I mean, the quarters are not that bad. We're fortunate enough to have our own little cabins each for gear and whatnot. But I know a lot of people are like sharing hammocks right next, well, not sharing hammocks, but they're sharing space with hammocks right next to each other, all packed in like sardines. And I guess we're just fortunate to have that sort of space. But Sarah, what'd you think of the night one so far then?
Well, personally, my one complaint is still just the height of the ceilings. We are both I'm 5'10", Tom's about 6 foot. We're both tall, relatively people, and the brig has very low clearance inside because and I asked about this yesterday, they said they had to build it kind of short because of how shallow Lake Erie is. So in order to not sink the ship, they had to make it a little bit cramped below deck height-wise. So if we come back to Erie and we're slurring our words a little bit, it's because we have minor concussions from continuously bumping our heads into things.
I bumped my head immediately when I woke up this morning. It was the most painful experience ever to wake up to.
Yeah, you at least have some space above your head, don't you?
A decent bit, yeah, but when I walked out of my cabin, then I stood up because, why wouldn't I? And then, ow.
I'm on a bottom bunk, and there's probably 2 feet of clearance, I think, before the next bunk.
That's all you need.
It's a little bit of a dangerous situation right there. But yeah, we're having a great time. We're ready for breakfast. Breakfast, I think, this morning involves bacon that I could smell. I'm very excited by that.
Yeah, I think something with onions, I think I smelled too, maybe. Who knows? They cook it, I eat it. I don't know how it works.
It's magnificent. And my room is actually next to the galley, which is basically the little kitchen.
Yeah, you are basically in the galley pretty much.
Yes.
You can hear everything that's going on.
I can hear it, I can smell it.
I'm fortunate enough to be on the other side of the boat. There's more of a dining
He's
room.
less tempted.
A little bit less tempted. I still a bit cramped, but I will make do.
Yeah, we'll survive with our bacon and homemade focaccia bread.
in a
All right.
wooden oven from the 1800s.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
All right, we got to go because we have another live shot coming up in a couple minutes, but we will be doing Facebook Lives throughout our adventure for the next several days, and we hope you all come along for the ride or come along for the sale. There it is.
All right, Sarah, Tom, thank you both so much for checking in.
I want some of that bacon Sarah's going to be chomping on.
It's so amazing. They get to live through history, basically, right? Reenact that. So I'll be excited to see what the rest of their journey entails.
And remember, Sarah is a meteorologist, not a weather girl.
No, Sarah, and she's very good at it too.
Yes.
I think they're going to do a weather report today from the lake.
Ooh.
Can't wait to see it. Have a great day.